Good morning, guys. I've got a kind of impromptu one this morning for you. My roommate's been complaining that her toaster won't stay latched down, and last night she committed the ultimate sin of threatening to go out and buy a new one, which had the desired effect, so here we are, in the shop with a toaster. So let's get cracking. Let me show you here. This is what we got for controls. So, of course, your heat dial setting, which is pretty much every one of these is burn, except for one, maybe, which is raw toast. So you push the thing down and it latches down and these things light up. It's like the bottom of a mine shaft. It's had like coyotes falling in it and stuff for years. But we're gonna take a look at this and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it. Crumb tray is right here. Oh, it's not that bad. Oh, let me get down to this end. Oh, it's pretty clogged. Yeah, that's a lot of crumbs. Croutons, anyone? All right, so we're gonna flip this over. Oh yeah, that's nice and crunchy. Oh, that was a bug at first. That would have been gross, right? But I immolated a bug in the toaster. That would be bad. So let's be clean as we go. So we've got very small screws. I have my new Craftsman made in USA. New from about 2000. Number 1 Phillips. Which is still not quite good. It's cheapy screws. Of course, they're the self-tapping plastic jobs. We use the chrome tray for a screw tray. I hope all of these need to come out, and some of them aren't holding on critical things that are impossible to get back on later, but we'll find out. That's part of the fun. Oh, it's got a nice convenient cord storage tabs on the bottom, so that when you go to move out of your dorm into an apartment with your 4-slice Hamilton Beach toaster, you can handily wrap the cord around there. It goes once. Strip all the threads out of that one, so they don't really want you putting this back together. You probably have to ink this guy off. I'm guessing. We've got some ribbon cables, some more toast. You guys probably aren't going to want to eat toast for a while after this. Right there's a connector. See that guy? There we go. Well, at least it's nice and pliable. Alright, so I think we can separate this from the rest of it. It does have some electronics. Interestingly enough, doesn't seem to have any additional isolation or insulation. It's got to be getting hot in there, don't you think? Okay, see the steel plate on there? That metal plate comes down to this little coil. See that coil? It's a little electromagnet. So that gets energized probably as soon as it knows there's contact, and then it starts a timer circuit depending on where you whip your crusty darkness dial. Okay, so this plastic base on this thing is basically the entire chassis. So everything's mounted to it. This little transformer with the same screws that are embedded in the plastic, and as soon as I unscrew them, I'm going to strip half the threads out like I did with the top, which I can hopefully get back together. So I really don't want to take this apart any more than I have to. So I'm going to try to clean the inside as best I can, just from the top, because everything is tied together with these old school bent tabs, holds this top cover on. The side panels, it's going to be a nightmare. And then you got all the nichrome wire or whatever they use, the heating elements all wound around through there. So I'm not going to mess with any of that stuff. There are 4 relays over here. Sanyo brand. It's like Sanyo except with a U on the end. So quality Chinese parts there. None of them look melty. You have to put a fairly significant amount of force on there, and all kinds of weird things are going on. If you look closely here, look at these solder joints. on these guys. These hold that electromagnet on there. The bottom two kind of look okay, but these top two, you can see that the design has kind of made them so they're a little more robust on this circuit board. So they know that there's a fair amount of stress on there, but if you look at them, don't they look like the solder joints are cracked? Is that moving? Can you see that? So what we're going to try is to clean those up, put a little flux on there and see if we can resolder those. And maybe that's what's going on, is it's not making a connection, because for a while I would come in there, she would be jamming this down there, trying to get it to stick, and eventually it would catch, which makes me think that there's an intermittent connection. I don't think it's a relay. So let's try that. I'm going to get a portable soldering iron and we're going to try to freshen up those solder joints and see if that'll take care of it. I'll be right back. Okay, so you guys that haven't done any soldering before, it's really not that difficult and it's pretty cheap to get started. This is a soldering iron I used at work for a number of years, and I think this cost me 10 bucks off of Amazon. You can get a whole kit that has all these, the tip cleaner, some solder, and everything you need to get started. You can buy little cheap electronics kits to practice on. It's really a worthwhile skill. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these up with some denatured alcohol, which I just keep a spray bottle of because I use it all the time. Clean this tip. And I got the super thin solder out here. This stuff's gold. 6040 tin lead. You can't get from Radio Shack anymore because no more. It ain't around no more. Tin my tip up a little bit. Lay some on there. Lay it on me. Nice beefy bead on there. Okay, what do you think, guys? See that? Nice shiny new solder joints. Hopefully that solved our problem. I'm going to clean this up a little bit and see if I can free up this mechanism some more. And I'll get you back here and show you the test. So what I want to do before I go any further is see if I'm barking up the right tree here or not. So let's see if we can make that connector reach the little circuit board in here. This connector went towards here. I'm going to try not to plug it all the way in because it was a pain to get out and I'm not ready to put it back together yet. Had to unplug my battery charger to plug the micro cord in. The overhead cord reel, if you don't have one of those, you're not a real man. I'm kidding, you're probably still a real man. Now you don't want to touch anything you can. In fact, I'm going to put the little knobby deal back on here just so I'm not touching any metal. So be careful if you're doing this without the housing on there. Don't touch nothing. Let me make sure I can reach the cancel button because that's the only way to shut it off. So hopefully you can see what's going on. Okay, we ready? We're all plugged in. We're not going to touch any metal. We're going to see if it latches. Success! Okay, we're not going to let it get too coasty since we got to work on it. That was it. We have solved the problem. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. I'm going to re-lube that shaft, try to do a little better job. Unplug it before I forget and poke my fork in there. I was going to use quad zero steel wool, but all I got is #1 medium. So we're going to try to go easy. Little tip for you guys. Mild soapy water. I put about maybe 5 or 6 drops of Dawn dishwashing liquid in one of these spray bottles. You can't even see it. The good thing about it is it's a fairly effective cleaner, but you don't have to rinse it off because it's got such a mild amount of soap in it. But you can see it's got just a little bit of suds on there. Finish up that little bit, blow out the inside. I will come back when I button this back together, put those stripped out screws all back in there, put her back in service. We'll be good to go. Okay, so I decided to use this thing. I can't remember who made this. I'll look it up if you guys want to know. If I remember, I'll put it down below. One of those air blowers, like a duster, it's like somewhere between the canned air duster and an air compressor. And I don't want to use an air compressor on this because I'm afraid I'll damage those coils. Anyway, the way it works is it's got two modes. It's got 4 speeds, or you can pull down the trigger, and once those little LEDs flash, that's variable mode. Now when you turn this wheel, it starts blowing. See that? That's pretty good, right? Yeah. Let me crank it up a little bit higher. That's top speed. So what do you guys think? Is that crazy or what? It's not an air compressor, but it can make a mess of your workbench with toast crumbs I'll be finding for the next 10 years. So I'm pretty much done. I got this as good as it's going to get. Reached the point of diminishing returns on here, so I'm just going to leave that little bit of patina left. Let me get the cover back on, get it buttoned back together, take all those stripped out screws and see how many of them I can still get to catch a thread. And I'll be back and we'll finish this off, give it a final test, and we'll be done. Okay guys, moment of truth. We're going to see if this beast can reclaim its former glory and toast this generic piece of white bread. Put it right in the middle on the good side. I'm not really 100% sure where she sets this because I moved it. I'm going to go with like 4.5 so get a good toast on it and see what happens. So far so good. A little bit surprised because I figured once I put all my tools away, yeah, it'd be a good time for it to decide to not work. All right guys, I'm going to call this a complete success. We're making toast right now. I can smell it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks very much. Maybe someday I'll make some content that's more worthy of your attention, but I'm working on it. There it is. Toast. That's maybe a little bit well done. Ooh, ooh, cha-cha-powie. Yeah, anyway, guys, if you have one of these, 4.5 is too high unless you're my older sister. Dry toast. That's pretty good. Maybe I should get one for the shop. I can have dry toast anytime. Ooh, or Pop-Tarts. I love Pop-Tarts. They still make Pop-Tarts? I wouldn't mind a Pop-Tart.